It's the ACC on ESPN tonight here in Little John Coliseum. The Clemson Tigers return to action against the Peacocks of St. Peters out of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Hi, everybody, and welcome in. Along with Kelly Gramlich, Pete Yannity with you. A Tigers team that'll have gone over a week between games, but even though a few weeks into the season you might think that takes them out of their rotation in terms of ball games, they actually have a head coach who likes to practice and get them in the gym, and he looks at this whole downtime as a positive thing.
It's a good thing for a team trying to build continuity. 8 days without a game, you have a time to get healthy, of course, but work on some things. And so rare during the season to get that long of a stretch between games. I think it's going to be a good thing for Clemson.
Tigers will face the St. Peters team that's in what you might call a rebuilding year under a first-year head coach, Shaheen Holloway, and they're a team that wants to go up-tempo, but like Clemson, St. Peters has had some depth issues, so you may see even more of a half-court game than you normally would have. But let's focus in on a couple of the key players in the ball game tonight. And they've got a senior guard. Well, Javante Turner has had himself a nice season so far, averaging 16 points a game.
He scored in double figures first 5 games of the season, 20 or more in 3 games. He can really score and fill up the stat sheet. Just 3 points against Maine the last time out, so we'll see if he can recover and put the ball in the basket.
He was their point guard last year. His new head coach wants him to be a scorer, and that's why they've changed the role. As for the Tigers, talk about guys who can score. Marquise Reed, over the past few weeks, he's moved over the 1,000 points mark in his Clemson career, continues to build in his overall collegiate career in terms of points.
It's hard to imagine Marquise Reed could be playing better this year than he did last year, but nearly 20 points per game. He's also filling up the stat sheet with rebounds and assists, 20 or more points 4 times. He's only shooting 29% from 3. That's something I'm sure he wants to improve tonight.
And Reed's been doing a nice job on the glass as well. He's among the team's top rebounders. The guard, who stands at 6'3", is averaging nearly 6 rebounds per contest. Brad Brownell and the Tigers going after win number 6 on the year. He is trying for his 155th victory as head coach of Clemson, and the Tigers team, for the first time in 3 games, will not go against the ball glove in the state of Nebraska. So there's that.
I think that's a good omen considering how Clemson has fared against teams from the state of Nebraska. 2 straight losses, 2 straight tough losses for Clemson, trying to get away from that tonight.
St. Peters, a team that is again in rebuild mode, but they've got some guys who can score. Javante Turner, we mentioned him, the man with the ball. Cameron Jones has been moved to point, and the fellow right there who's their top inside presence, Idowu, and he goes right to the bucket over White, and the first points of the game going to Samuel Idowu and St. Peters. Reed, little fadeaway, and Marquise Reed, one of the things we've talked about he worked on during the offseason, shooting under distress, and that time we saw it right there.
That was from almost the exact same spot as the previous play. St. Peters needs to learn from that. Don't let him get a mid-range at that spot on the floor.
Another freshman for the Tigers, Hunter Tyson, also checking in. Turner losing it, and coming away with it is Reed to the other end.
What a play by Marquise Reed. So active defensively, even out near the half-court line, and just got his hands on that one all the way to the basket in transition.
Crossover by Reed. And an errant pass, but recovered by Mitchell. And he ends up losing it out of bounds. Well, Marquise Reed putting on a bit of a show so far from mid-range. In this case, doing what he does best, leading the Tigers in steals a year ago. Turns that one into 2. Back running the show as Shelton Mitchell gets a breather, down to 10. Turner defending Reed, fade away at the line, and that is a shot I don't think we saw that much of a year ago. St. Peters extending that defense. Reed getting the attention of Cameron Jones, but despite his best effort, Reed able to shoot over him. He is already in double figures. He has scored 10 of the Tigers' 13 points. And Scar will be called for the reach-in foul. That'll give the Tigers a chance to get Eli Thomas into the ball game, but it'll be on the other side of this timeout.
Draven White trying to take a charge. It looked like his feet were somewhat set, but a no call. And Majak leads to an easy 2, converts that for St. Peters. The Peacocks up 2.
With their Cotton Bowl invite. Watson giving in the corner and a swish. Nadefo, he played at the same high school as Stephon Marbury. Kind of looks like Starbury right there with that range.
St. Peter's 5 of 8 from 3. That is a ridiculous number, shooting 63%. Clemson has to run those shooters off the three-point line. You can't let them get threes. Anything but a three at this point with how they're shooting the ball.
Sims unable to convert. Look at trap fighting inside. He put that one off the glass over the hand of the 7'1" Majak. Sims unable to convert. Look at trap fighting inside. He put that one off the glass over the hand of the 7'1" Majak.
What a rebound from the 6'4" Clyde Trap-to-Sky for that board. And he, I think, is the most athletic guard on this Clemson roster. That showed on that rebound right there.
Fifth lead change in this opening half. Turner knocked away. Sims scrapping for it, and he'll knock it out of bounds. St. Peter's Peacocks holding their own so far, hanging in there with the Clemson Tigers. 28-all is our score here at the half in Littlejohn Coliseum. With Kelly Gramlich, Pete Hannity back with you. Well, we're impressed so far by the three-point shooting of the Peacocks. They came in fair to Midland in that category, but they've been red hot so far in the opening half, and it's why they've been able to hang around.
6 for 10 from 3. They've knocked down 6 of them, 60% as you can tell. And Clemson only 1 made 3. That's a 15-point swing. Of course, Clemson has been better in the paint, better around the basket, but that's a tough swing to overcome. I think Clemson's fortunate at this point to be tied at the half with how St. Peter shot the ball.
And keep in mind, before the midway mark of the opening half, the Peacocks lost their top big man, Samuel Idowu, to a couple of quick fouls, and Eli Thomas did not start this ball game for Clemson in the pivot because of disciplinary reasons, but he has had a profound impact when he's been out there, especially with Idowu on the bench.
3 points and 6 rebounds in 8 minutes, plus a block. That is a profound impact. There's no doubt about that. Clemson will be in much better shape if Eli Thomas can start the second half. We're not sure about that, but I'm sure we'll see more of him, and that is good news for Clemson.
A St. Peter's team coming in off an overtime win on Saturday when they snapped a 5-game skid, but if you look at the stat sheet, looks like they're the team that came in at 5-2. Clemson's record as opposed to 2-5 on the year. One of our crack technicians up in our control room noticed at about the 8-minute mark of the opening half, the stats were almost identical except for three-point shooting, and that trend continued into the halftime locker room.
If you look at just field goal percentage, yes, very identical, but one team is shooting shots that are worth 3, and one is shooting shots that are mainly worth 2, but Clemson controlling the rebounding margin and points in the paint. I expect that to continue in the second half.
And a Clemson team that, as you might expect, has an advantage rebound-wise, but keep in mind the Tigers out-rebound teams by 6 per game, and I wouldn't be surprised if that disparity gets even bigger in the second half as Clemson looks for a 13th win all-time against teams from the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. In the ball game tonight, the first ever meeting against the Peacocks of St. Peter's. The Tiger Band drum corps is out on the floor right now. Well, they are certainly entertaining the folks here at the break. The Tigers hope to find their rhythm from long range in the second half of action. Back with more of halftime in a moment here at Littlejohn and a 28-all ball game, Clemson and St. Pete's. Get it back in the hands of the guy who's number 1 on your scorecard and is in double figures in scoring, Turner. Ball goes left wing, Jones, and he's been stroking it too. And boy, Cameron Jones having himself some kind of night. Thomas spinning on Idowu and one. That'll be the third on Samuel Idowu, the closest thing that these Peacocks have to a true big man, and the Tigers have their biggest lead of the game and an opportunity to add on. So a Tiger team that's been starting to go inside, and it's worked.
Eli Thomas getting great position inside and finishing with contact. Again, great position, made himself big in the paint, and scored it for 2.
Tigers have built the lead to 4. Thomas will try to make it 5 when he goes to the line. He's from Amarillo, keep in mind, which is miles from Austin, as you, Kelly, know, and miles from the basket that time, figuratively, was Turner. Another tray. His big night continues. He now has 14, and he hits his 3rd three-pointer. You see these New York area teams, whether they're a Power 7 conference team like a St. John's or a Seton Hall, or in this case a Metro Atlantic Conference team like St. Peter's, but it's a tough and tenacious kind of basketball, and you go up to the New York metro area, and whether you're in New York City or in the suburbs, like their head coach Shaheen Holloway is from right there in the Jersey City, New Jersey area, you just see some real great basketball and a lot of players. It's kind of like Florida or Texas are to high school football. The New York area is to high school basketball. You see these New York area teams, whether they're a Power 7 conference team like a St. John's or a Seton Hall, or in this case a Metro Atlantic Conference team like St. Peter's, but it's a tough and tenacious kind of basketball, and you go up to the New York metro area, and Whether you're in New York City or in the suburbs, like their head coach Shaheen Holloway is from right there in the Jersey City, New Jersey area. You just see some real great basketball and a lot of players. It's kind of like Florida or Texas are to high school football. The New York area is to high school basketball. Turner around in the Jacques screen. Over Thomas off the glass, and he's able to bank it home. Wow, Devontae Turner gave the body language as if he feels like a foul also should have been called, but he continues having a big night. 7 fouls so far, and that one almost knocked away by Watson. 7 fouls for Clemson so far, so it's a 1-and-1 situation. A force that time by Trapp. Oh, you got to be kidding me. What a huge bucket for the freshman. Reed is going to head over to the bench as the Tigers call a timeout. Clyde Trapp, amazing going across the lane and putting Clemson back up by 3. Jones with Mitchell defending. Jones taking some time. Turner fires a 3, might have been partially blocked off the glass. Down to Thomas, and that's going to do it. And the Clemson Tigers withstand the Peacocks of St. Peters tonight here in Littlejohn Coliseum. Brad Brownell, no doubt some complimentary words to Shaheen Holloway as the Tigers end their 2-game skid with a 5-point win, 65-60.
St. Peters was an impressive team to play like that without Idowu for most of the game. Devontae Turner, 16 points for him, 10 made threes for the Peacocks. They gave us a fun one tonight here in Littlejohn.
Tigers improving to 6-2 on the season. St. Peters falls to 2-6 and 0-2 against ACC teams this year, but they acquitted themselves quite well. Clemson now gets ready to go to Newark, New Jersey and take on Mississippi State this weekend.
A big test for Clemson to keep their NCAA hopes in good standing. To beat a good ranked Mississippi State team, that's the next thing on the list for Clemson.
Big night for Marquise Reed. We certainly hope that knee injury is just temporary. On behalf of Kelly Gramlich and our fine crew, Pete Kennedy saying so long. This has been a presentation of ESPN.